So, topic for today is conscious parenting, and I feel it's very important to take this up more so now because of the changed scenario with even the corona happening and the children being at home and the parents feeling stressed. But even in other times, it's very, very important. So, one of the areas of our lives that adds the most to us is being a parent. But as we see the school of life, or we see what we are trained to do and where our upbringing is focused on, so it's usually not focused on subjects like how to be a good life partner, what does even marriage mean, what does parenting mean, how should we bring up a child. So this is never talked about. So we are kind of thrust into these roles because it is the norm and because everybody does it mostly. So people will get married, and because everyone has it, and it's something that could even be counted as in success, that oh, one has children, so was one goes on to have children, or for many other reasons, but without ever putting any effort into knowing that what does being a parent even mean. So what we have with ourselves is the script that our parents gave us, how they parented us. So we use that script in two ways. Either we do the same things, and many times we are doing similar things without being conscious of it. Or what we do is that we diverge from there as a reaction. Like, for example, it could be, oh, they were so strict with me and they could never even buy me anything. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to splurge on my children. So, that decision has come as a reaction. So, I can say that we come to becoming parents mostly clueless to what all it involves. Most young parents are very unaware of how much physical care an infant would require. And there are many times they feel so stressed or bogged down with the constant care that a small child requires. So many times we come unknowing, and so we try to do the best that we can. And our job is sometimes we feel like, oh, we could have done better, or we could have been better with our children. And so we come to a video like this. So the journey to be the so-called better parent would inherently involve being a better human being. Better in the sense of being connected to my own self. So if I am connected to myself, I'll be able to connect to my child and to understand something of my children in that. So I would start from planning to be a parent. So there would be some people who plan a family, and I think that that's an ideal thing, that one must see practically if one has the money, the resources, and the time to bring up a child. Would I be able to give sufficient attention to my child? Who is going to be with my child? So if one has these things, then one should decide to have a child. Otherwise, it would be ideal to wait. One can also question oneself, explore why do I want to have a child? Explore within himself, herself. And I'd say any of the youngsters listening to this video who are going to be a parent, I would recommend to all of them to dedicate some time, few months, maybe a year, to go through some kind of self work. So I would recommend self work like inner child regression, like rebirthing breath work, or meditation, exploring themselves, going within, understanding themselves as a person. So when one does that, when one has gone through that period, then one would be a better parent or be able to be with one's child in a much better way. So those of us who did not plan, did not go through this before having a child, so many of us, we are already parents. So my advice to them is please never feel guilty about anything that you hear, something like this, that, oh, you should do things this way, right? We can only change, we can only work in the present. There's nothing we can do about the past, right? So because this video has a wider audience, so some practical pointers I'll be sharing which can help a person in different phases of life. So you have to see for yourself which phase you are in and see what from this you can pick up. All of these are just pointers. There are no that you must do something like that. It's advisable to do it, but you can always look at yourself, oh, what do I feel about it? Right? So you're just hearing, and you can use that what you're hearing as in exploration inside you, as in, okay, so what do I feel about it? How should it be? This person is saying this. What do I feel about it? How would I like to go about this? So parenting should not become a performance. So please do not take my tips to, I'm trying to, we try to make this talk as practical as possible. But do not take my tips as that the must do's and must not do's, and I'm supposed to perform like this, because when we take it as a performance, it becomes a bigger burden. So then we are weighed down by what we should be doing and what we didn't do. Weighed down by the guilt of what we didn't do, and we could look at our child, and children would have one or the other issue and then feel very bad about that. Right? So never regret the past, but you always have the present. And there would always be things that you can change in your present so that the impact goes to your children in a very loving way. Right? So we talked about planning the family, and I can also talk about pregnancy, that the newest studies, they indicate that the child in the womb, it can also hear the parents. So when we do sessions for womb regression, regressing somebody to when they were in womb stage, we're very surprised to see that they can hear the father's thoughts, mother's thoughts, and what they're saying, what they're feeling about them. So at that moment, if we have planned the family and we are so ready to welcome this child, so all those feelings will go right inside the child, that I am wanted, I'm welcome here. Okay? So from that moment on, we can sow the seeds of love and acceptance for the child. So pregnancy also becomes very important. Yeah. And then when the child is born, I really feel that the mothers to be should read up about the general information on labor, general information on how the child is born and how to take care of the child during the initial phases. Like for example, one of the very practical things is one must breastfeed the child. So now we come to the infant. So what are the needs of the infant? So infant is very small, very dependent on the parent completely. So the parent, especially the mother, should be supported so that she is able to care for the infant in in the best way possible. That she is there. What does the infant need? It needs love, care, affection, safety. That it is safe. The mother can have that feeling. All your needs are okay with me, because the child will cry at night. All, it would need to be changed so frequently. You would need to change the baby's clothes. So when the mother feels supported, she'll be able to take care of the baby. So what has changed from the previous times is that um, increasingly uh, the families are becoming smaller, and the support of sometimes the grandparents is not there, or for the extended family is not there, and the woman is left alone to take care of the baby, and sometimes it becomes overwhelming for her. So these are the in terms of physicality, I feel that support should be there. So for infant, I feel the what can be the attitude of the parent is that I accept you just as you are. If you are a girl, I accept you as a girl, and I love that you're a girl. And if it is a boy, I'm so happy you're a boy. One can feel within oneself for the child. One can say that to the child, because what we are feeling is going to go inside the child. So, yeah, it's remarkable that I feel that even the infants can understand us. And infancy is the stage where the child comes to this feeling that I'm loved and I'm accepted as I am. So that care and love is very, very essential. So you'll see that the role of parents, it is different in different phases of life. So when the child becomes a toddler, so that is the time when the child would like to explore. So some initial separation from the mother occurs, because the child would have to leave the mother to go out and explore. That time, what we can do practically is to create safe spaces for the child to explore, so that we don't have to keep stopping him or her, that don't do this, or you broke this, or you shouldn't have gone there. Like, can I create a safe place for my child where he or she can roam uninhibited, so that we can do for the child? Can we let the child be? So normally the parents, especially the parents of young children, many times they are filled with so much anxiety for the child. So they are, the child will get hurt. So we should like, oh, he should not go there, or we should not go there, or aisa mat karo, waisa mat karo, ye mat khao, because they're so scared the child will get hurt. So, but many times we are just being very overprotective, and we are just operating from so much fear inside us. So, one has to observe one's behavior. If there's something occurring routinely, then one can rectify it with practical means. Yeah. So, I feel the being of the parent should be stationed in that knowing that my child is safe, that the child is fine. So we observe the child. Suppose the child is in the park playing. We observe the child. We are there. We are there to offer all the support, but we let him explore a little, let him push his limits a little. And believe me, that confidence that he gets by pushing his limits there, that confidence will carry on in adulthood. So, this adult, when he grows up, he will not be afraid of making mistakes. He will be willing to try new things. So, the seeds for that would be sown when the child is a toddler. So, how can I be a loving presence to my child, an allowing presence to my child, where I am in allowance to for him to explore what he wants to explore, giving him healthy limits. When genuinely there is child safety at stake, one stops the child, but also there are places where he can explore. Right? So that is for the toddler. And the child grows up, is a school going child now, and the challenges for the school going child are different, because the child would get into academics, and performance will come in one's life, because our education system is based on performance. I feel it's a flawed system, but that's the system as it is. And what can we as parents do to support our children in going through this kind of system, which is based on somebody being better than another? I feel within ourselves we have to reflect and explore that what does success mean to us? What would it mean? Like the child gets this much marks, so then he's a better person, or because he has gotten this much marks less, and so he's not, right? If within ourselves we are able to let go of that notion of more marks being better, then we can support our child to accept himself or herself as they are. Otherwise, he would always be struggling, like so many adults are, so many of us are, where it's like uh, the race to get the next thing, and just looking for outside approval. So if I were to perform like this, then I would get outside approval. So can I just try and perform in this way? So when the child doesn't get approval for what he is, so then he starts living this life, as most adults do, of trying to do things which will get him approval from outside. So the child will probably struggle in the academics, or try to be good there, or may not try to be good there. Yeah. But joy of the joy of being, just being, will go from him. He'll also lose touch with what he really likes to do. So many of adults also are not in touch with what they would like to do, and it is because of this early bringing up in these times. So what happens in these times is that the child is uh, brought up on conditioned approval. So the approval will not be always there. It will only be there if they do these certain things. So one is just keyed to the outside, because there is a lack inside. The lack is the lack of something which should just be there for every human being, of getting unconditioned love, getting approval, safety, that I am safe, but so many children are not safe in their homes. They are shouted at, they are hit, and the parent also feels very self righteous in doing that because they feel the reason is right. I can do it because he is not studying. And of course, studying is so important. He is a naughty boy, he was just playing outside. I saw a video recently on Facebook and I was shocked. It moved me so much. So, this video apparently it's supposed to be a funny video. Some of you might have seen it. So, there's this child who is crying and probably his mother is filming this because we hear her voice in between when she tells him कि homework करो तो वो कहता है कि मुझे homework नहीं करना ठीक है तो वो कहती है खेलने भी नहीं जाना तो हाँ जी मैं खेलने भी नहीं जाऊंगा कि टीवी भी नहीं देख सकते the child is crying the tears are falling and he is writing he doesn't want to write and the funny thing is that he's crying and doing his homework it's supposed to be funny this video I didn't find even this much humor in it. I think it's very cruel because we are being so insensitive to the child's pain. So if he does the homework or if he does these performs this way in the academics or in the sports or in the extracurricular, that that makes him a better person. So the child ends up losing touch with himself. He doesn't know what he would like to do, what would make him happy. So we see these lost adults. So as they grow up, they're completely lost. They don't know what they would like to do because that inner connection has been long broken. They were told, no, it's not right. It's not at all if playing makes you happy. So it's okay to play. No, 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 no. I will tell you what is important. I'll tell you academics are important. So I am not saying that oh the children should not study and they can play all day. I'm not saying that. But let's be gentle with the child. Where it is important to give freedoms to the child, it is important to set up boundaries also. So it could be okay, so how much of the homework you want to do? And if it's a really small child, if he really doesn't want to do it, maybe he doesn't do it. Like, how many of us remember what we got in fifth class or sixth class? How much percentage we got? Like, I don't remember mine. And I'm sure none of us do. So, how is it so important what percentage the child gets? Why is the homework given to the children? It's the schools which have become business institutes and they want to give the best services to their customers, which are the parents. And the child is just caught up in between. So the child is going to be the finished product and they have to please the parents. So let me just beat him into shape. That is what is happening. But in that beating into shape, the child is beaten up. He's humiliated in the classrooms, made to feel less because he couldn't write this or couldn't score these many marks. And I've seen in the schools, the child is almost never good enough. So there would always certainly be, except for the person who is first, there'd always certainly be somebody who is ahead of him. And even for the one who is first, he might lose that spot. So that fear also might be there. It's a no-win situation. So what we can do for our children is to, just convey to them that you're good as you are. If you get 80%, okay. If you get 30%, okay. Heavens are not going to fall. And they say you can't teach a fish to fly. So not all children would be academic. So when we spend time with our children, we have to look at them. What is it that they like doing? What is it that they enjoy? What is it that gives them happy? Some children would be born to be artists. They would be painters. Some children would be musicians. They would enjoy music so much or dance so much. Some children would be into academics. But not every child can sit down in a classroom for 6 hours and not move and just study there. It could be very difficult for some children to bear. And those children would become disruptive in the classroom and they would be called bad children. So they will not say it is a bad system, it would be that they are bad children. So the problems that the school going children face, one is academics, which I keep hearing from many parents, also bullying. So because the children, many of the children are so unhappy and feeling so incomplete within themselves, they bully other children, right? So the child might be facing bullying at school. How can you help as a parent? First of all, the parent has to be there to listen to the child. So there, I would advise everyone to have some quality time with the child when the parent is not doing anything. I put my phone away. The phone is not there to distract me, so no message is more important than being with my child now. I could miss a phone call. The phone call is not so important. Define your priorities. So at some time, the child can be the priority. So at that time, there's no TV, no gadgets. Nobody else interrupts that time. And it could be something that both of you enjoy doing. It could be baking something. It could be playing cricket. Could be very simple activities, painting together. So the adults, maybe they like these serious activities so much. Whereas the most fun would be the simple activities that children do. So we need to connect to them and be there with them, spending some time with the children where the child can at least tell us. So when the child shares, then probably we'll be able to support them in some way. So first of all, sharing is very important. Many children don't share with their parents. They might be going through very difficult time, but they don't feel that they can go up to their parents because the parents seem so busy all the time. Disturb mat karo, abhi chale jao, right? So the child is just shooed away. So we have to have some time. We might be busy in the other times. There could be some time when they will be there with the child, and we even don't need to keep doing stuff. So I could be just sitting quietly and okay, watching my child what he is doing, and I'm just sitting quietly doing nothing. And so the child knows that if he wants to be with me, I'm there, I'm available. I have all the time in the world for you. See, if that message was given to the child would have a good sense of self-esteem. The child would love himself. The child would like, okay, there's something good about me. The child would appreciate himself. Whereas if we are too busy for our children, the child would end up getting this message that, maybe I'm not important enough. And things can never take the place of the presence of the parent. It might please the child momentarily, but it will not give this lasting satisfaction to the child of being loved. Touching is very important, hugging our children, yeah, giving that kind of physical affection, it gives them that sense of security, right? Seeing the good in children. Many times the children are going through a problematic phase, and we just focus on what's wrong with the child here, the little points, the little pointers. But even then, we can choose to see the good in the child. There would be something, we'll always be able to find it. And we can focus on that instead of just focusing on the negative part. And when we come to the teens, the most difficult phase for many parents. So, teenage is the time when the sense of I develops in the child. So, he wants to form a separate identity from the parents. And I believe that so much of rebellion also comes from there. So now he has to be different from the parents. And I feel uh, it would be a way of defining my identity and stamping who I am. And every child should be able to reach it. But whereas most parents, what they do is they want to stamp out this identity and they want to post their identity on the child. You're going to be like this. If you want to be like this is not okay. You be like this. So the process of forming that identity is so many times disrupted. And then the child grows up to an adult who feels so lost. So it is happening in teenage. So many of most, a lot of rebellion would be a normal part of teenage, right? So as a parent, we have to set some boundaries, but we have also have to give some freedom to let that rebellion happen. So it could be like there are three crazy things that a child wants, and maybe we let them do this one. So always the child must have a choice, not for the very young children, but as they grow up. So if they want to go out and buy clothes, so it would be three shirts that the parent chooses, and he can choose from. So he can choose from them rather than no, no, you will take only this shirt. Right? Some choice the child must have. Rules, absolutely, they can be there. They should be there. The child must have healthy boundaries. So being a good parent and giving freedoms does not mean that everything is okay. So the child needs that hedge around his garden. So that boundaries are very much needed. So when we give that boundaries to the child, then also the child feels safe. So for the young children, for the teenagers, you know, so when they want to make their own decisions, I feel till 18, parents have to be a very active part of making that decision. And they should always be heard. The teenagers should always be heard. But if it concerns education, if it concerns our safety, you know, or health, so the parents should have a last say in that, right? But children should definitely be heard, and they should definitely be given the space to do their own thing. So a balance is very essential. So we have to allow them to explore also, but they have to be the limit in the exploration also. So other thing that I hear from the parents or the difficulties that they're facing is that of addictions. Especially the media addictions, being on Instagram or being on Facebook so much and chatting so much. So for that, I can say that the child who is connected to himself or herself would not get lost in these worlds, right? So when that sense of inner connection is lacking, so the child could tend to get lost there, right? So if the child is facing that problem, so probably he can go for some session to just see that how he can connect to himself. Connecting would mean going through some inner child work to connect to the smaller, the younger child part within the team. Yeah. And also, I feel that physical rules should be made in homes so that the screen time is limited. Now, online classes have started, and children are spending more and more time in front of the screen. Yeah. And I feel that is really not a good thing, because the child tends to lose his grounding, and he can feel very lost at the end of the day. So, as parents, so what is the role of a parent? The parent is responsible for providing the environment to the child in which the child grows. Okay? So it's like a mango tree, and my job is to water this mango tree. I cannot change it to chiku tree. It will always be a mango tree. I like it or not. But I'm going to be the one to water it. How do you water it? Right? So certain rules would need to be made. Somewhere one has to be firm also. And firmness with calmness is what is the need of the day. So what happens is the parents also get very emotional, very angry, and they just go on to ruin their relationships with especially their teenagers. So rules need to be made, and they must be there. The boundaries have to be there for the young child, who is getting exposed to so many things through internet which could be very dangerous for the child, right? So there the parent has to step in. And sometimes when the child is so addicted, the child might feel very angry if the boundary is being set up for the child. But sometimes we have to go through with that. And for that, so again, the parent has to find that calm center within himself. So you see that how important it is for the parents to keep working on themselves so that they are able to talk to their children calmly. So it's like, okay, I can hear you and I can, this is what my opinion is about this and this is what can happen. So then again, I also hear that yes, it's very easy to say, of course, speak calmly, and but then one does lose one's temper. Yeah. So, so of course, anger can be there. Anger can be there. Yeah. So if explosion happens, I feel if it has already happened, so what one does is that one can just forgive oneself. It's okay, right? So don't carry the past with you. No use carrying the past, just carry the wisdom from the past. Don't carry it like a burden that I did this and and now I feel very guilty. So then what one does is that I can take a time out. I just move away from that space. And when I calm down, if I'm able to calm down, then I can communicate. Or I can communicate, you can create a little bit of distance maybe by writing down my point. That also, because if I'm losing my temper here, so that creates that distance where one can feel better, right? So calm communication is very essential. And if we are getting angry, we need to work on that. And again, awareness also I feel is a very important tool to work with that anger. Then we just feel aware that, oh, this is happening. I can just watch myself as this happens and just let it happen, but I'm watching myself, right? So the muscles will become tight, or maybe the voice will become louder, right? And maybe next time, I've observed that, oh, this is happening, and what I do is that I just deepen my breathing. I just take slow, deep breaths. I just loosen my muscles. I relax my body. I stretch myself, right? That would help in taking away the anger. So if I were to like relax my body and to calm my breathing, I would automatically feel not angry, calm, right? So awareness is very, very important. So I think so. I'm just going through some of the issues that teenagers face. So uh, you know, uh, again, having too many affairs can be another. That also I hear from the parents these days, and I feel there also a good connection with the parent. If we improve our connect to the our child, maybe we can have happy moments together. So many times we are just focused on preaching to our children. We just want to like these 5 sentences filled with wisdom I'm going to give to my child, and the child is going to be like new person, and the old one was not good enough. Yeah. So doesn't work. Doesn't work. What works is, at any age actually, is to spend happy time with the children. Have more and more happy memories. What is it that you enjoy doing? Explore yourself. Is there a sport that you enjoy? Is there some kind of like creative pursuit that you enjoy? And do that with the child. Look at your child. What do they like to do? Maybe they like playing video games. Maybe sometime you can join them in playing that game. So, so many times uh, we just focus on preaching and we just end up sounding so critical. And the children are like so defensive that they are close to what we are saying. So it's not gonna, words are not gonna help if the children are not open to listening to it. Right? So when we are connected to ourselves, we can also see the child and know that when the child is feeling open, when would they feel open to hearing? If they are feeling that they are also heard, if they are feeling that they're feeling happy and they're feeling relaxed, and especially if they feel that they are not judged. Children are very sensitive and they know without you're even saying a word that they are being judged. So, in your own mind, can you just say to yourself that I accept and I love my child just as they are? As one should say for, all our loved ones. So, when we drop our judgment, when we can be calm, right? When we are happy, we don't have an agenda. Like, who even said that what we are thinking is the absolute thing? Sometimes I've seen, like I do have like youngsters coming to me and for sessions and everything, and sometimes I've seen they're so wise. Like I'm amazed at how wise they are. They are wiser than the many adults that I know, and apparently they are the ones with problems. That's why they have come. Yeah. So again, one very important point: trust your child. We don't trust. We think the worst of our child. Trust them. They are very wise. They understand and know a lot of things. Okay. So they could be going through an issue. The issue could be of they're addicted to this game, or they are going through some other phase in their life. Something is happening. It could be happening. It doesn't mean that they're completely stupid. So we have to trust our child. And another thing, respect our child. What does respect mean? Respect means that if I have the right to speak uninterrupted, the child also has the right to speak uninterrupted. Please do not interrupt your child. Respect the child's boundaries. Respect the child's physicality. Like, please, it's not okay to hit the child. And it really bothers me when even with small children, people can just take it for granted and go pinch their cheeks, pick them up, without asking. And one can ask even a very little child's permission. 1 year old, you can maybe hold out your arms, and if the child comes to you, that means he wants to come to you. Doesn't, that means he doesn't. Leave the child alone. Yeah, Rupika, I know that. Yeah, it's like so the adults have so much to learn. It's not the children to just respect the child's being. How is this kind of touching okay? It's not okay. And I think it's also I feel related to um, how does so much of sexual abuse happen to the little children? Because the children are so disempowered. They feel so weak within themselves that they cannot speak up. They have nobody to speak to. They know that they will not be trusted. The adult's word would be trusted more than their words. So when we don't trust our children, when we are not there to hear our children, then also our children can fall prey to such incidents happening to them. So it's not about just teaching the children good touch and bad touch. If the child himself is disempowered, will not be able to protect himself, not be able to speak up for himself. Do you allow the child to speak up at home? So what are the basic freedom that the child should have? Every child should have the freedom to speak. This is my opinion. It could be completely opposite the parents' opinion, But yes, I can state it respectfully. Freedom to emote, that I can express my emotions. So many times the children are told not to cry. रोना नहीं है, रो रहे क्यों हो? Why is not okay to cry? I feel that children are most connected to themselves. If they feel like crying, like three houses around them would know that they are crying. They'll not be bothered about what this other person is thinking because they are so connected to themselves. We as adults, no, we like put up this happy face, this fake smile, and inside we'll be crying. So the child must have the freedom to emote. Feels like laughing, okay, laugh. Feels like crying, you know, cry. You know, freedom to discuss, speak, freedom to be, even freedom to be who he wants to be. Yeah. So as parents, we give this nurturing environment to the child, wherein we provide certain things. We provide the physical comfort, the safety. We're responsible for keeping the house. How do we have a house environment which is supportive to the child? When it is aesthetically beautiful, it's clean, it's well arranged. That's supportive to the child's being. The being itself would become peaceful because the environment is like that. Then we want to lecture our children so much. How can we teach our children? Teach by example. If you want your children to take up sports, please start playing games. Anything that you would like your children to do, first be that. So the children, especially the very young children, they just learn so much by copying. And even the older children, they might be appearing to resist what the parent is saying, but they'll end up being like their parent. So all the work that we put in, being the kind of person that we'd like to be, our child will see that. So if I am peaceful and I can talk in calm, measured tones, my child will also do it. If I'm shouting, the child might also do that. So the children learn most by example. So I feel that should kind of like also relieve us from this mental burden of like, what is it that you have to know in your minds so much and keep doing that so that and keep telling the children so that the children know it all. What is there to know? Yeah, where is there to reach? So even if the child does this degree, he can get a great job. If the child is not happy, not feeling good within himself, it's not feeling loved within himself, what good would be that fat salary? What is important? So you can take the time to also define for yourself that what are your aspirations for your child? What do you want for your child? Like, how would you like his life to be? Right? So when you're very clear about that and reflect a lot, question on it, so then you can see how you can support your child. It could be supporting by, giving the right information, ideas, or the child needs to go somewhere, you take them. So that would be the role of the parent. But the child will become the person that he wants to be. And that could be any kind of person. So the child, I believe, also comes with some past life sanskaras. So that what he has been in so many lives. So if he has been a musician in so many lives, he would probably like music. And if he has been a warrior, he would probably, like weapons as a child. So he comes with his individual destiny. He's a soul in journey. And we as parents, we have to let the child be. Help him connect to what he would like to be and support him in being that. Okay, so any activity which is externally imposed, that oh, this is the one chapter that you have to finish, or you have to do this, and then it's going to be uh, okay, saying you feel so, you're feeling so much anger, so much of me has been wasted, right? Okay, I hear you. So as we hear these things, of course, many times we are, triggered, and we are just remembering our own how parenting was done to us, and it's absolutely valid. All of that is very valid, you know. So when that comes up, what we do is we just work on our inner child, you know. So we can tell our inner child selves that it's okay, that now I'm there for you, and I love you very much, and I'll always take care of you. Okay, so so all of us are part of this, because only enlightened parents, people who are enlightened, can be the perfect parents. Otherwise, all of us uh, you know were given some or the other form of hurts. Yeah. So, but we can work through them. It's very easy to work through them, and inner child work is especially very useful for that, and we can work through them. Yeah. So, I feel that letting the child be is very, very important, and supporting him in being able to connect to himself. So, when he connects to himself and he feels that, oh, this is what I really enjoy doing, he will never get tired doing that. You will never get demotivated doing that. It's just about finding this one thing which he enjoys so much. And every adult should be able to find that also. But children, especially teenagers, especially because they would be going on to define their careers. It's very important. So, ye jo, like I see the, this advice about careers which goes on, I feel the center point of that has to be the child connecting to his own being and finding what lifts me up, what gives me joy, what does not seem like work. So when the child has found something like that, so that would be the path of the child. You would know that the time is passing. You would want to keep doing that, right? So as a parent, we can help child explore a variety of things, so that by exploring also, the child will realize, oh, I enjoyed pottery so much. Oh, no, I enjoyed, you know, painting so much. Or it could be anything else. I enjoyed computers so much. Yeah. So parents' role would be helping the child to explore. Yeah. So I noted down a few lines of Khalil Gibran. I'm sure all of you must have heard it, but they're like so beautiful. I cannot not say them. So it's this. He says, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of the life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you." It's so important to see that they are not our belongings, and not something that we have to impose our notions on them, right? They are just in our care for some time, and they are souls in journey. We have to trust that the universe will support them in the best way, that we are also always doing our best. Life is a dynamic process. Don't ever believe that, oh, I did this and I've harmed my child, and that is why this is happening. And I feel so guilty, because those thoughts are not going to help anyone, not you, not your child. So, what you tell yourself is, I did the best that I could do. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I am working to be better and better. As you become a happier person, your child will definitely have a better parent. So a big work of how to be a good parent is to be how to be happy human being. If we can be happy, nurtured in ourselves, loving ourselves, the child will get that message. And the child will feel so happy in the happiness of the parent. So the children are naturally very loyal to their parents. They'll do anything for their parents. So when their own parent is happy, it just adds infinitely to their own happiness. Yeah. So be happy, meditate, you know, chill, do not worry at all, you know, ask another person, discuss with somebody if you're facing a problem, know that you are not alone. Many of the challenges are part and parcel of the kind of life that we have now, which did not exist 5 years 10 years before. Yeah, so know that parenting is difficult in these times, more difficult than before. So get help, get support, and know that you are not alone in this. Children ideally should be brought up by a community of people. You know, they should be a network of friends or networks of family, relatives, you know, and all of them should be part of the process of bringing up a child. So do not just take it all on yourself that it is all on me. It's very nice to connect to other people and bring up our children together. And that becomes joyful. So I think at the end I can say that please focus on this being a joyful process. See what would make it fun for you. And when it is happy and joyful for you, it will be joyful for your child. Yeah. So yeah, with that I'll end this talk.